Christine and Nick and Paul and Tyler and Aaron, and we're group 2. And we will be analyzing the group dynamic in the movie Remember the Titans, and we decided to split it up into different sections of the film to analyze the group in each different formation. You go to Penn State? Ooh, what's it like up there? How's the atmosphere? I would never go to Penn State. For the kids? I'm sure many of you have heard these questions, or have been asked these questions and have heard these statements if you've been in the university in the past 2 years. Almost 2 years ago exactly, our school was faced with one of the worst scandals in university history. Being a student at Penn State, I'm sure most of us have felt some sort of trauma from the scandal. Whether it's jousting comments from your friends, your parents, questions about how the university is doing. It all gets to us. Our school, our community, our teams, and our friends have had to build themselves back up from nothing to prove why we are one team and how we are still one of the top universities in the country. Similar to our team, Walt Disney's movie, Remember the Titans, depicts a team that overcomes social adversity in the early 1970s. Our presentation will show you and teach you how it is possible to overcome any situation that you are put in. Our team got together one afternoon and we watched the film as a group. We discussed the basis of how the team developed throughout the film and then each analyzed a different section. To further our credibility, all of the stated definitions in our presentation have been taken from our textbook, Effective Group Discussion by Gloria Gellings. The transition of the Titans football team can easily be seen between the beginning and the end of the film. First, the groups start as individuals. There is a lot of primary tension or social unease between each member and the coaches and the community. Then, the team bonds over similar interests, which is football, and they begin to show cohesiveness as working as a group. And then, the cohesiveness is strengthened in the team as the team must face the community and the coaches, and they must go against all social norms. And then finally, we see the team as a single primary group, and they have overcome every social and racial obstacle that has been set in their way. Now Christine is going to start the speech by analyzing the forced formation and development of the Titans football team.
The Titans are formed under unlikely circumstances. The schools are redistricted and unsegregated, and the teams are brought together regardless of their race in the school, and football is like a unifying factor for the group. So the input variables, like the energy that the team puts together, and how individually each of the members contribute positively towards the group. Whenever the group starts out, they're a secondary group. They're operating under the objective of football, and that's the one unifying factor of the group. They start out with two separate groups that are striving towards a common goal, which is football, but they don't work together as a team initially. Racial tension is still very visible in the group. Early on in the film, there's a scene where Gary is talking to Coach Boone, and he originally talks about how his people are going to take care of the defensive aspect of the team, and that he expects to have a portion of his players be on the offensive team. Coach Boone originally shuts down that idea and focuses on the strength of individual members of the team and how he's not going to have the team remain unsegregated and not together. Whenever the group gets together, originally there's primary tension. The scene that stuck out to the group was whenever they're getting ready to go to camp on the buses. Originally the members go on the buses and they sit segregated with members of their individual race. Immediately after on the buses, Coach Boone has them all get off the buses and pairs them up with a member of the team who's either on offense or defense with them, and they're reassigned to the bus and to live with that person. This is a good example of how the coaching staff is on track of eliminating those social tensions and integrating, as well as the football players for the positions as well as their roles on the team. while they're at camp, they're first forced to work together and overcome obstacles. The original tension with the group is very prevalent. They don't generally get along very often, and it's hard for the group to start to work together because they're still not motivated to work together as a group. They're still a secondary group with a common goal, so they're working all together. There's a moment in the film where the team runs to Gettysburg and Coach Boone talks to them. He compares the Battle of Gettysburg to the battle that the team is currently going through. He talks about how thousands of men died on that field fighting for a similar cause, and how the racial tensions on these units was a original problem back then, and how those same controversies and issues are affecting the team today, and how if they don't, if they're unable to get over those, the personal issues that involving race, that they're going to lose as a team, and they're going to die on the field like the men died on the field at Gettysburg. The first video clip we have depicts the initial interactions of the team and how they came together, and the tension between the group and how training camp begins to develop.
That's my bed. And that's his bed.
I ain't looking at that for 2 weeks, man. Take it down.
You can close your eyes for 2 weeks, all I care. Don't you look at your wall and look at mine.
I'll look wherever I want to, and I don't want to be looking at that for 2 weeks.
And you better use your X-ray vision, Superman, and look right through it, because it ain't coming down.
Shows how, even though they're a team, they're still fighting with one another. This is how the team started off in the group, and throughout training camp, the relationship began to develop. Each of the players is giving opportunity to prove themselves, not only to the players but the coaches. Throughout training camp, the team recognizes that they need to be together and work towards a common goal, which is the team. After those relationships are developed, they then leave training camp, and another factor or challenge returning home is that even though now they've started to become a cohesive group, that the town is just behind them as a group, and they have to go home and defend their relationships and their teams in the town, and fight back against the town. Even though they accomplish so much at camp, the progress can be lost if they don't stay together whenever they return. So that's the next challenge. And then Nick is going to talk about how the group develops and whenever they return.
So as Kelly and Christina talked about, the group starts off as two completely separate groups. It's the black players and it's the white players, and you see no cohesiveness whatsoever between the two. I'm going to talk about the middle third of the movie where they seem to come together as a more cohesive group, and you see some unity in the group, and they become one. At this point in the movie, they're in what we would call the assimilation phase. At this point, they've understood completely, they've met each other, all their preconceived notions are all, reality has set in, and they're at the point where they're learning to work together and become more cohesive as a team. Now, while they're becoming more cohesive, there is still group hate. And group hate is defined as the feeling of antipathy and hostility many people have about working in a group, fostered by the many ineffective, time-wasting groups that exist. The group hate in this context comes solely from race. You see that these players are not used to working with different races, and for that reason there's a lot of fear in working together. None of them are comfortable with each other at this point, and a lot of group hate and uncomfortability comes from that. Now, as I said, at this point in the movie they're becoming one group. While they are uniting and becoming one group, they're still a secondary group. And the reason why they're a secondary group is because they're still in it to to win football games. There's no relationships being built between anybody at this point. They have come together as a team, but their main goal is still to just win football games. And in a sense, you can actually also look at the group as an ad hoc committee. And an ad hoc committee is a group that is put in place to accomplish a task, and then right when the task is complete, the group is no longer. And that's exactly what the Titans are at this point. As you can see in the picture, they're coming together as a group. They've decided they're going to work together. But at this point, early in the movie, they're still in it to win the football games. And once the season is done, there's no evidence that there's going to be future relationships built between the players. Now, another thing that really comes into play in this part of the movie is norms. And norms are defined as an unstated informal rule enforced by peer pressure that governs the behavior of members of a small group. Now, there's some obvious norms in this group, and then there's less obvious ones. I'll start with the obvious ones. Obvious norms in this group are the fact that they're expected to come to practice, they're expected to work hard, they're expected to try their best and go through practice and win on the football field. Now, the less obvious norms are the fact that they need to respect each other, which is really hard because their norms as a group differ from the norms of the society around them. Their norms are to respect one another, not see difference in race, and really come together as a team. And that's very difficult to do when the norms around you are so different. And for that reason, we see that the leadership comes into play, and they have to make sacrifices, and they have to punish if necessary if norms are not being followed. Now lastly, I'd like to talk about throughput variables in this section of the movie. Definition of throughput variables, they're the actual functioning of a system, or how the system transforms inputs into outputs. Now Kelly and Christine had talked about the inputs of the system, and those were all the players and all them coming together. Now at this point in the movie, you can start to see what the outputs might become, and that is winning on the football field and also becoming closer as a group. The throughput variables that lead to that are just like norms, there's obvious ones. There's the hard work at practice, there's the running through routes, there's the doing the plays in practice, and becoming a better football team. But then there's also throughput variables that are not so obvious, and those can include going out after football practice and hanging out and going out to lunch and becoming a more cohesive unit. Because another output variable that they're looking for in the future is to get closer as a team. And the only way you can do that is by spending time off the football field as well. Now we will see this demonstrated in the video clip that I'm going to show in a minute, where the team starts to come together more, and you see the leaders develop, and you see the norms develop, and you see the group really focus on winning football games. At this point in the clip, there's still not great friends. There's no primary group being built at this point, but we get to see how they're coming together as one group and united.
Let's talk, man. What do you want to say? Coaches ain't called us a meeting tonight. We did. Hey, how y'all gonna walk out on your teammate like that? He said he got something to say. Y'all got to listen. Turn around. Turn around. Where you going? Turn around. Coach Boone brought us this far, y'all. But he ain't gonna be there for us forever, man. So what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here, and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man. And y'all think we done won something? Man, we ain't won nothing, y'all. Nothing.
Rev, what's that you're always telling me when I get sick of trying to keep up with my grades and stuff?
Even youth grow tired and weary. Even young men stumble and fall. But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. Amen. Amen. That's what I'm talking about. Amen. Amen, right? So on wings like eagles. Like eagles, y'all. Like eagles, y'all. They will walk and not grow faint. Yeah.
as you saw in that clip, the group is becoming one large secondary group that their main goal is to win football games. Now Paul will talk to you guys about more of the group dynamic in the middle third of the movie.
So in this part of the movie, you see leadership start to develop, and through like Gary and Julius, because they're the team captains. And they become the team captains because they're the best players, and they push other players to be better. And they lead on and off the field with like criticism and motivational ways. And also they provide a base to end the racism because they become friends. And they unify the two subgroups through their friendship, and they provide a good example on how to act. Through their leadership, they become a cohesive group, and they get this through communicating on a daily basis and an interdependent goal. An interdependent goal is whenever one member cannot achieve the goal without the other group members achieving it, which in this case is the state championship. They show a lot of interdependence due to the fact that every position relies on each other and every position is interrelated, so they need to work together to do well. The coaches serve as participant observers because they evaluate and assess the procedures of the group while maintaining the outside mediator role. They do a good job developing cohesiveness through their effective procedures. An example of this is whenever Coach Boone forces all the people on the bus to sit together and to room together at camp, and that provides a base for them to become friends. And their aggressive behavior and yelling at the players creates an action-oriented listening environment, which makes them focus on the task at hand. A negative thing that's happening on the team is social loafing, which is when a person doesn't buy into what the group is about and they expect the other members to pick up the slack. For example, whenever Ray, he's angry with the team and the coaches, so he lets go of blocks, and that ends up getting a player hurt, which ends up hurting the team a lot. Now Tyler's going to tell us how the group transforms into one primary group.
Alright, as Paul said, at the third stage of the movie, they end up transferring from a large secondary group into a single unified primary group. They begin caring for each other and acting more like a family and including each other in their personal lives. Like for one example, Gary, the main guy, invites Julius over to meet his mother before they go hang out one day. Even the coaches begin to act more unified. They begin to take input and strategies from the other coaches that they might have and start using those, incorporating those in games instead of just doing what they think's best. Players, the output variables are very evident at this point, especially personal growth. The players came a long way from the beginning where they were fighting all the time, only talking to each other when required, to getting past all the racial tensions and cultural norms of the time and forming lifelong friendships. There's also a modification in the norms for the whole town. There was a lot of segregation and stuff like that back then. And through the football players' actions and their unity, they were able to help transform the town to allow the town to see more of how they see it and get through past the racial inequalities. For one example, a mixed group of players went to a restaurant and the owner wouldn't let the black people stay in there, so Ronnie Bass threatened the owner with civil lawsuits. He eventually gave in to them, and they were met with cheers and a warm welcome from the patrons that were there. Eventually the group does break up. A lot of players have to graduate and move on to the next stages of their lives. But even though they did physically break up, they're still together due to the friendships that they made. That you can see at Gary's funeral scene. It's 10 years after the last game they played together, and you can see all the players that were on the team standing behind the casket, paying their respects to their friend and former teammate one last time. This scene you're about to see is going to solidify the transformation from the secondary group to a primary group, and shows the cohesiveness achieved throughout the season. And you also see how the community has changed their attitude towards the black members of the team and all the affection given to the players.
Best defense I've seen in 20 years. Tell that coach here to keep up the good work.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
Taxi and the siren. Superman! Hey, what's going on?
Alright, now Aaron's going to give you your final.
So, in conclusion, the groups of individuals became one undivided team. Similar to Penn State, coming together and overcoming adversity, the Titans put aside their differences and became stronger than ever. Through Coach Boone's leadership and the team's commitment, the boys struggle and grow together as a team. After camp, race, social status, backgrounds, ethnicities, none of it was no longer an issue. When discrimination was evident through classmates and townies, the boys stuck together and stuck up for one another. The Titans grow individually throughout the film as well. In the closing scene, the team ends the perfect season and time fast forwards 10 years to Gary's funeral. This final scene depicts the everlasting friendship that the boys gained throughout the movie. Remember the Titans is about just much more than a football season. It shows separate, segregated groups unifying as one. The Titans work together towards a common goal and against society's norms. It doesn't matter your skin color, whether it's blue, black, orange, white, or purple. They worked together, and the Titans made it work. The season ended, and as the story goes, they danced their way into history.
Hey, 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 goodbye.